look at the words. Do they have? She knows? Jaya Radha Madhava Kunjabi Hari. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunjabi Hari. Madhava Kunjabi Hari. Gopi Jana Balabha Girivardhari. Gopi Jana Balabha Girivardhari. Gopi Jana Balabha Girivardhari. Gopi Jana Balabha Jasodanandana Brajachanarandana. Jasodanandana Brajachanarandana. Jamuna Tira Vanapchadi. Jamuna Tira Vanapchadi. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunjabi Hari. Kunjabi Hari. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunjabi Hari. Madhava Kunjabi Hari. Gopi Jana Balabha Girivardhari. Gopi Jana Balabha Girivardhari. Girivardhari. Jasodanandana Brajachanarandana. Jasodanandana Brajachanarandana. Brajachanarandana. Yamuna Tira Vanachadi. Jamuna Tira Vanachadi. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunjabi Hari. Radha Madhava Kunjabi Hari. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunjabi Hari. Hava Kunjabi Hari. Jayom Vishnu Paramahamsa Parigacharya Astatarasata Srimad His Divine Grace A.C. Bhakti Vedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki Gaura Premanandi. During this Damodar month of Kartik, we've been reading from Srimad Bhagavatam Canto 10, Chapter 9. This is the chapter that deals with the Damodara Lila. And we got as far as verse 19, 10, 9, 19. And we've been reading the verses and then commentary, so we'll just continue where we left off this morning. Very nice section. The translation reads for text 19. Oh, Maharaj Parikshit, this entire universe with its great exalted demigods like Lord Shiva, Lord Brahma, and Lord Indra is under the control of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Yet, the Supreme Lord has one transcendental attribute. He comes under the control of his devotees. This was now exhibited by Krishna in this pastime. So emphasis is going to his independence and his dependence. We've been hearing a lot about the apparently contradictory qualities. On the one hand, he's independent, supremely independent. And on the other hand, he places himself dependent. So here's the commentary by Jiva Goswami. Quote, with a question, this is a statement and then a question. It is concluded that Krishna is complete and he is the supreme in power as the Lord. He is without hunger and dissatisfaction. Yet it has been described that he was angry, theft-prone, and fearful, and he fled away. And he was forcibly grabbed by his mother and cried. These characteristics, being confidential, should be understood to be real by you, since they are a cause of rasa. But how can he also be called perfect and supreme? Question mark. Reply. This is true. By qualities he is perfect and the Lord. But one must consider his mercy to his devotee. Without that mercy, none of the qualities will give happiness to anyone. A person cannot be pleasant if he has a hard heart. If there is no mercy, qualities diminish in value. Qualities which cause happiness in people are good qualities. Lack of mercy is naturally a fault. Such a fault cannot exist in the Lord, for by becoming an ordinary person with faults, he loses his status as the Lord, full of good qualities. And then he quotes verses from Chandogya Upanishad. Ayam Atma Pahata Papma. The Lord is devoid of sin. And in another place, Esha Ueva Vamini Sarvani Abhiyanti. He is full of auspicious qualities. All qualities come to the person who knows the Lord as such. So focus is going to his mercy aspect. Mercy produces all other qualities and counters all faults. Therefore, it is the chief quality. This is explained in relation to the Pungsavana ceremony described in the 6th canto. So what was the Pungsavana ceremony in the 6th canto is, we'll hear some more about it, but Diti, Kashyapa, and he had several wives, but Diti and Aditi were co-wives amongst the several wives. And Aditi was the mother of many demigods. And Diti was envious. So she asked her husband, Kashyapa, what can I do? What ritual can I follow whereby I can have a son that can kill Indra? So he's a Brahmana. So he gave her this procedure. There's a certain month-long procedure year-long procedure of severe austerities, very specific austerities. And she said, I'll do it. I'll do exactly as you said. So the result of the austerity was, if you do it perfectly, you'll have a son that can kill Indra, and if you make some mistake, you'll have sons who'll become the friends of Indra. So Maruts became sons of Indra. Friends of Indra. Maruts were, it's a long story, but they were born of Diti, and instead of becoming enemies of Indra, they became very friendly to Indra, Maruts. So in this procedure, she says, I'll do it. Tell me all the details. So part of the detail that there's some prayers that the person observing this vow is to to recite. So this is one of those prayers. And in that prayer, it speaks about the power of mercy of Vishnu. And the power of mercy of Vishnu hides all of his other powers. It's so strong. It eclipses or overshadows or same thing that Krishna did in this pastime, in the Damodara Lila. In the Damodara Lila, Mother Jasoda was trying to bind Krishna. She couldn't bind Krishna because the rope was always 2 fingers too short. She got more ropes. And Krishna was exhibiting the opulence of his Vibhuta Shakti, his opulence whereby his body neighbor? Okay. So I'll just carry on like nothing's happening. Okay. So let's circle back. The Damodara Lila was Mother Yasoda trying to bind Krishna, that rope was too short because he was exhibiting his opulences, Vibhuta Shakti. She couldn't put the rope around him. More ropes, it was always the same, 2 fingers too short. And then he extended his Kripa Shakti, his mercy. So then she was able to bind him. So the message there, that was the previous verse, his mercy potency is so significant that it eclipses or serves to withdraw his Vibhuta Shakti. His opulences are hidden. They're still there. They're always there. He's always the same opulent Supreme Lord. However, his pastimes in Vrindavan are such that the love, the intensity of love of the residents of Vrindavan is such that he hides his opulences and extends his mercy instead, more strongly than it's exhibited normally. So that's what it's being said here in the 6th canto, this prayer to Lord Vishnu. Just as you are endowed with mercy by which your powers are hidden, so also you are situated as the Supreme Lord, worthy of worship, by being endowed with the Shakti of Mahalakshmi, the Shakti of independence, the Shakti of wealth, all strength, and all other qualities. Because he's Bhagavan. So this prayer to Lord Vishnu is, your mercy potency is especially special. It acts in such a way that your other potencies are diminished or they become hidden. Clear? Now, this is Jiva Goswami's rendering of that verse. I'm going to read to you the BBT translation of that verse. It's Prabhupada's translation, 6th canto, chapter 19, text 5. It's from the Pungsavana prayers to Vishnu, recited by DT. Here's the BBT translation. O my Lord, because you are endowed with causeless mercy, comma, all opulences, comma, all prowess and all glory, strength and all transcendental qualities, you are the Supreme Personality of Godhead, the Master of everyone. Now, that's the BBT translation, Prabhupada's translation. And Jiva Goswami wants to emphasize the significance of the mercy potency, Kripa Shakti. And so he does. The commentary continues. That mercy, that's Krishna's mercy or Vishnu's mercy, Supreme Lord's mercy, corresponds to the nature of bhakti. It's important. The mercy of the Supreme Lord corresponds to bhakti. Now, bhakti, from our perspective, means what? The definition of bhakti is Rishikena Rishikesha Sevanam. You use your senses in the service of the master of the senses for the pleasure of the master, the servant to master relationship. But practical activity of doing things in the world with your senses, with sense objects for the pleasure of the master of everyone and everything. That's the definition of bhakti from our side. And the statement here by Jiva Goswami is, the nature of mercy corresponds with the nature of bhakti. Because there's two sides, what we do, and then there's what the Master does, or the Supreme Lord does. When we serve him, he extends his mercy. They're of the same nature. That's what's being said. It's a relationship, qualitatively like one another. Well, let's say the same thing a different way. I'll come back to his commentary, but bhakti in the personified form is Bhakti Devi. And Bhakti Devi is an expansion of Radharani. And Radharani is Krishna's pleasure potency. So when we engage in devotional service to Krishna, we're engaged through the medium or by the mercy of Radharani as Bhakti Devi. So that's mercy, to be able to engage in service to the Supreme Lord. That's mercy. What qualification do we have? But by the mercy of Bhakti Devi, we get the opportunity to do something. And we should be mindful it's not just material doership, something or other, like in material consciousness. It's the spiritual consciousness it's mercy being extended to us. So that mercy, Vishnu's mercy or Krishna's mercy, the mercy that allowed Mother Yasoda to bind him, that mercy corresponds to the nature of bhakti, and it is proper, since in its absence there is fault. That is, if there isn't mercy, then other apparently good qualities don't shine forward. Other good qualities don't shine forward. Continuing, same idea, just expressed in different words. If unconditional bhakti controls the Lord, that was Mother Yasoda was able to bind Krishna. If unconditional bhakti controls the Lord, it is proper that mercy also controls him. By this, his powers do not decrease, since they manifest elsewhere. Like, he's in Vrindavan, and he's showing childhood pastimes that don't always manifest his divinity, like he cries and he steals and he does mischievous things and like that. And when he hears the lightning, he runs for Nanda Maharaj and cries. Or thunder, sees lightning and thunder, cries. So he's behaving like a little child. And that's to nourish the affection of Nanda and Jasoda. While he's doing that, he doesn't lose his omnipotence. That's the point. When this mercy is being extended, his divinity isn't lost. For instance, Krishna was bound up, yet he showed power to deliver Kuvera's sons by pulling down the trees. Rather, by the quality of mercy, since it is all attractive, the powers of the Lord double in potency. That is, they become astonishing. When one starts to think of Krishna as a little boy or something, one of us, like maybe a better version, but one of us, and he does something that's superlative. It's exhibiting his powers of Bhagavan. It brings astonishment. But for the Brijbasis, they're not especially astonished. It's just par for the course. They're used to Krishna doing astonishing things. Oh, how wonderful is Krishna. What's for lunch? It is necessary that he is controlled by the devotee. That we heard in the morning class, he's not exactly controlled by the devotee. He's controlled by the love of the devotee. That bhakti and mercy are of the same nature. He is controlled by that which is of his nature, the bhakti of his devotee. The Lord of Vaikuntha said, this is Lord Vishnu when Durvasa Muni comes. You know that Durvasa Muni story? Ambarish Maharaj? Ambarish? Yes? Yes? No? No. Ambarish was a king. Actually, Ambarish was a king in the... Please come in. I'll pause while you all get situated here. Ambarish was a king in the same lineage as Ramchandra. He was in the lineage of Ikshvaku in Ayodhya. His capital was in Ayodhya. And he was king long before Ram was king and before Dasrath was king and so forth, before Raghu was king. He was a long ago king. And he was a great devotee. And Ambarish was observing a very special Ekadasi Vrata. Radha. He was observing a very special Ekadasi Vrata. She likes Ekadasi Vratas. We were talking about it during class this morning, how much she likes Ekadasi Vratas. So, that was a joke, by the way. He was observing a very special vrata for the whole year, each Ekadasi, and then breaking of the Ekadasi. So it was a very special, for the purpose of giving benefit to his citizens, because he was already situated in perfection. But he wanted benefit, whatever benefit would come to him, he wanted to distribute that to his citizens. So when observing the final on 1 year, end of 1 year, Ekadasi Vrata on the next morning, the Dwadasi morning, Durvasa Muni arrived. And so Ambarish said, "Oh, fantastic. How auspicious for you to be here too. Can you break the fast first, oh great Brahmana?" And he said, "Sure. But first, before I've been traveling, I have to do my morning duties." So he went to the river to take his bath and doing his morning duties. And time was running out to break the fast. And so Ambarish asked his priests what to do. And they said, "We know, we can tell you. We're tricky Brahmins. We can tell you how you can break the fast and not break the fast at the same time. You just take some 3 sips of Charnamrita water from the bathing of your deities this morning, and you can break the fast and not break the fast." So that's what he did. Durvasa Muni, being connected to Super Soul, could understand. That's what he did. He came back. He was very angry. He uttered a mantra, took some piece of hair from his head and dashed it to the ground, creating a fiery demon, and told the fiery demon, "Kill him." Instead of the fiery demon killing Maharaj Ambarish, the Sudarshan chakra of Lord Vishnu killed the fiery demon and then started pursuing Maharaj Durvasa Muni. Durvasa Muni fled for protection. He eventually made his way all the way to the abode of Lord Vishnu. He was a very powerful yogi. And it pleaded with Vishnu, "Help, protect me." And here's what Vishnu says. "O Brahmana, I am completely under the control of my devotees, Bhakta Janapriya. I am not at all independent." He's independent. "I'm not at all independent. My heart is controlled by the pure devotees. What to speak of my devotee? Even those who are devotees of my devotee are very dear to me." That's the verse from the Bhagavatam, Canto 9, Chapter 4, commentary by Jiva Goswami. The reason the Lord's heart is controlled by the devotee is because the devotee is sadhu, that is, devoid of other desires. Therefore, it is appropriate that the Lord has no other desire than to please the devotee. Being controlled by the devotee takes the form of internal and external actions favorable to the devotee. Because Krishna takes on the mood of an infant in response to Yashoda's devotion, his assuming that mood is proper. He's just explaining himself when he said all of this is proper. His being merciful is proper. And the properness has to do with the exclusive shelter that the devotee has in him. So it's exclusive, it's proper that he places himself at the disposal of the devotee, who has placed himself fully at the disposal of the Lord. It's love. Loving reciprocation is proper. Next, thinking of this real condition of Krishna, Queen Kunti. We know Queen Kunti, she's mother of the Pandavas. Now Kunti, in chapter 8 of Canto 1, she offers prayers to Krishna. Krishna is about to go back, leave Hastinapur, go back to Dwarka. Kurukshetra battle is over, Yudhisthira is now the king. He's ready to go back. She doesn't want him to go back. So she offers prayers. In one of her prayers, she says, with bewilderment and astonishment and bliss, "My dear Krishna, Yashoda took up a rope to bind you when you committed an offense, and your perturbed eyes flooded with tears, which washed the mascara from your eyes, and you were afraid. Though fear personified is afraid of you, this sight is bewildering to me." So his affection for Mother Jasoda is now being honored by the love of Mother Yasoda for him. He's just reciprocating with her love. He's performing childlike pastimes because of her mother-like mood of love. He reciprocates with his devotees' love. And her love is so strong, he reciprocates as like a little child. With this intention, Shukadev speaks this verse. This verse is the one that we've been hearing the commentary on, this Mother Yasoda binding Krishna verse. In this way, being controlled by the devotee has been explicitly shown, since elsewhere, outside of Braja, pastimes with intensely possessive devotees, to the extent of being bound up, does not occur. She's the most excellent devotee. That's what the verse is saying. Even Brahma, Vishnu, even the goddess of fortune, they don't know this kind of mercy. Okay, listen. We're now going to go through she wants to say something. What's the program? Okay. Okay, bright. More bright. This is bright. That's max. We're good. Okay. Are we focused again? Good. There's Sanskrit words in this verse 19, and we're going to hear some of the meaning of those Sanskrit words in verse 19. Anga expresses Shukadev Goswami's prema for Parikshit. It's like, oh, that kind of an expression. Anga. He's speaking with Maharaj Parikshit about Krishna and Yashoda, but he's not excluding his feelings towards Maharaj Parikshit, who he's there with. Oh, being controlled has been shown graphically by the Lord, who attracts the devotees. Harina, that word Harina is in the Sanskrit of text 19. Harina, the Hari we know, he who takes away. And he who takes away is, he takes the attraction of the devotees. Harina. At the same time, the devotees in Vrindavan they're fully absorbed. They're these devotees who have nothing but love for Krishna. So he surrenders his independence to them, places it at their disposal. On the other hand, for the demigods, he exhibits his independence. He is Swayam Bhagavan. He controls the universe. While he's controlling the universe, he's also engaging in pastimes with his devotees in Vrindavan. And they're contradictory on the one hand, but they're natural on the other hand. That's what's being explained in the commentary. Here's Sanatana Goswami. From the very beginning of this chapter, or in the way stated, evam, it is certainly shown that the Lord is controlled by his devotee. Anga means prema. Although Krishna is independent, sva vashena, that's in text 19, sva vashena, he's fully independent. Since he is the Supreme Lord, Krishnera, and he controls the universe, yet he is controlled by the devotees. The control by Yashoda shows his being extremely controlled. Sam darshita, that's the very first word in the verse. Her relationship with Krishna, she not only controls, she completely controls, extremely controls. Some darshita, more than by Brahma, or previously devotees, or more than Yudhishthir and others, where Yudhishthir, Krishna serves as the guard, the servant, and the charioteer. No one else could tie him up. In Grandfather Bhishma's words with Krishna, Canto 1, Chapter 9 is the passing of Grandfather Bhishma. It corresponds to the Mahabharata topic of Grandfather Bhishma's passing. So when Grandfather Bhishma comes, when the Pandavas come to the place where Grandfather Bhishma is lying in his bed of arrows, one of the things Grandfather Bhishma says is, "You're so dear to Lord Krishna. He served you in so many ways. He's the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and he served you as the peace messenger, as Arjun's chariot driver. He served as guard. During the marriage ceremony of Draupadi, he was one of the bards. He sang the praises of Yudhishthir. He likes, but who can bind him? Who can bind him? Mother Jasoda she's as far up as you can get, being recipient of Krishna's mercy, or controlling him by her love. Controlling him by her love is his mercy. So it's not like that's what we want to do. We're rubbing our hands together saying, I want to control Krishna. We want to love Krishna in such a way that he reciprocates with that love however he wants. Jiva Goswami writes in Krishna Sandarbha, Akrama Sandarbha, in this way, the attractive Lord has shown that he is under the control of the devotee, even though as Swayam Bhagavan he controls the universe and all the devatas. In this way, it has been directly shown that the Lord is controlled by the devotee. He is not far above the devotee. Now here's something a little elevated. I hope you don't mind. It's going to dive into the topic of Raganuga Bhakti. So our host and hostess, a little lesson in Raganuga Bhakti, you mind? There's devotional service in practice called Vaidhi Bhakti. And when we begin, we follow vidhis, rules and regulations. That's called Vaidhi Bhakti. And when Vaidhi Bhakti becomes a little elevated and matured, it may come to the stage of spontaneous devotion, raga. And rag anuga is the followers of raga. Raga means attachment. In the mature state, there's attachment to the object of service, or object of love, or Krishna. And there's close affinity to those who already have that. One learns the ways of raga bhakti by those who have raga bhakti. You become an apprentice to those who are accomplished. So that's what Raganuga Bhakti is. And it's in simple terms. There's more to it. But that's a teaching that's in the Bhagavatam, we'll hear. And it's a teaching that Lord Chaitanya gave when he began introducing the chanting of Hare Krishna to awaken the dormant tendency to be in service to Krishna. And when that matures, it becomes the spontaneous raga, anuga, or raga bhakti type of devotional service. That's Krishna and teachings in the Bhagavatam. So we're going to hear about Bhakti Sandarbha explaining Raganuga Bhakti a little bit in relation to this Damodar pastime. Raganuga Bhakti has been proved to be an authorized process. This is part of the context. Raganuga Bhakti concentrates chiefly on Krishna, since it is said, this is now Narada speaking to Yudhisthira, Canto 7, you have nice Bhagavatam set here. Chapter 1. It's right after Shishupal was killed and the Rajasuya sacrifice was completed. And Maharaj Yudhisthira is saying, what just happened? Narada, can you explain? This bad person, Shishupal, got liberation. How did that happen? Can you explain? So this is part of the explanation. My dear King Yudhisthira, the gopis by their conjugal desires, Kamsa by his fear, Shishupal and other kings by envy, and the Yadus and you, Pandavas, by your affectionate family relationships with Krishna, and we, Narada, by our Vaidhi Bhakti, have obtained the mercy of Krishna. Focus is again on mercy, right? Because mercy accesses Krishna very nicely. The next verse, all persons mentioned concentrated on Krishna. Even the demons concentrated on him by hatred and attained perfection. This does not happen in relation to Krishna, to the Lord's expansions, or even other full forms of the Lord. Therefore, it is said in this next verse. This is 7.132. You might want to make note of it, those of you that make notes. 7.132. Tasmat means therefore. Tasmat kenapi upayena mana Krishne niveshayat. So those that are used to hearing Prabhupada speaking, you know this phrase. Mana Krishne niveshayat. Mana Krishne niveshayat. Somehow or other, bring your mind to the position of being absorbed in Krishna. Prabhupada would say it, Yena tena pakarena mana Krishne niveshayat. Yena tena prakarena, however, somehow or other. Therefore, by one of these means, fix the mind on Krishna. And he goes on, explaining, since raga nuga, directed to Krishna, causes quick absorption, when the Lord teaches Vaidhi Bhakti, offered to himself in the 11th canto, 11th canto is Uddhava Gita. Like there's Bhagavad Gita, Krishna speaks to Arjuna, Bhagavad Gita. And Krishna speaks to Uddhava, it's called Uddhava Gita. And that's in the 11th canto. So in that 11th canto section, he's saying Krishna is speaking about Vaidhi Bhakti. This bhakti is in relation to the four-armed form, not to the form in Gokula. Since one sees pure raga, or attachment, only in Gokula, the chief form of raga nuga is practiced in relation to Krishna Gokula. So what's that? To come to the stage of spontaneous bhakti, it's not just regulative, but spontaneous. It will be in relation primarily, if not exclusively, to Krishna and his Braja Lila. Very special Lila. In Gokula, the Lord responds to them as a son, etc. Because of their spontaneous love, he responds spontaneously. So he is their friend, he is their son, he is their beloved lover, because of their spontaneous love. And then he quotes Bhagavad Gita, chapter 4, Yeyatam mam prapadyante. As they surrender to me, I respond. And to illustrate this point, he refers to the verse when Krishna is entering the wrestling arena of Kamsa. Celebrated verse, often quoted verse, so it's being quoted here. How different people saw Krishna when he entered the wrestling arena. There's 11 different categories. The various groups of people in the arena regarded Krishna in different ways. When he entered it with his elder brother, the wrestlers saw Krishna as a lightning bolt. the men of Mathura as the best of males, the women as Cupid in person, the cowherd men as their relative, the impious rulers as a chastiser, his parents as their child, the king of the Bojas as death, the unintelligent as the Supreme Lord's universal form, the yogis as the absolute truth, and the Vrishnis as their supreme worshipable deity. There's 11. He's one person being perceived in these 11 different ways. So the perception is according to the heart. And his point is because of the heart of the residents of Vrindavan with full attachment to Krishna, that's it. There's no other attachment. Krishna reciprocates with them and does whatever they want. They want him as their child, I'm your child. You want me as your friend, I'm your friend. Whatever you want. Because that is, the mercy extends and the opulence seems to be not so important. It's there, but it's concealed or eclipsed by the sweetness or mercy. That's the point. Here's Brahma in Brahma's prayers after the Brahma Vimohan Lila. Brahma steals the calves and cowherd boys. Brahma says, even by controlling the mind, no one can understand the greatness of this form of the Lord of the universe, which manifested in many four-armed forms, because that's what he saw, multiple Narayans in front of him. As many Narayans as there were calves and cowherd boys, that's how many he saw. But it's you, the one form of Swayam Bhagavan, who gave me mercy by your own will, who spread throughout the universe in many spiritual forms, and who possesses bliss, which can be understood only by yourself. The original feature of Krishna, this feature that Brahma saw before him, little boy, has unlimited potencies and can expand in so many ways, and so forth. Krishna has a sincere desire to be fed, bathed, and fanned by his devotees. Even service in general bhakti pleases the Lord, such as patram, pushpam, palam, toyam, yome bhaktya prayachati. He quotes this verse verbatim. It's in Bhagavad Gita. To offer to Krishna with love and devotion a fruit, a flower, a leaf, and water, I'll accept. That's Bhagavad Gita. Interesting. The exact same verse is spoken by Krishna to Sridham, the Brahmin, Sudama, the Brahmin who Krishna went to school with. Sudama, when Krishna went to school, when they grew up, Sudama went to visit Krishna. Krishna's married, Sudama's married. He went to see Krishna, and he was so poor, he didn't have anything suitable to offer. But he asked his wife to give me something. So she went to the neighbors and she got some little cloth with some broken rice. And he was so ashamed. He didn't even offer it to Krishna. Krishna saw it. Krishna snatched it from behind his back. Krishna started to eat it. And Sudama's ashamed. And Krishna speaks this verse. Sudama, you have anxiety about bringing such an unfit offering. And please don't think like that. Because what's offered to me with love and devotion, I accept. That's the mercy. He reciprocates with the love and devotion. That's the point. That's the point. Shukadev Goswami praises Raganuga Bhakti with a desire to attain it. Quote, This is now Shukadev speaking in chapter 15, canto 10. Some of the cowherd boys, who were all great souls, would then massage Krishna's lotus feet. And others, qualified by being free from all sin, would expertly fan him. And his point is, again repeated, this attitude, the affection attitude in Braja pastimes, doesn't destroy the Lord's powers. For at that time, his powers appear elsewhere. And to act according to the wishes of his devotee is his praiseworthy nature, although he is the controller. Similarly, although he was bound by Yashoda, he freed the twin Arjun trees in the next part of the pastime, same chapter. Though possessing such powers, he is praised by Shukadev for being controlled by Yashoda. And there's a little bit more, but I think what I'll do is we'll pick up on this tomorrow. We have a midday program. We'll just continue with the Damodara Lila tomorrow. So a little summary of what we just discussed. There's a lot of commentary on this chapter because of its importance. Just like we spend the whole month offering a lamp to Damodar and sing the Damodarastakam song. And this song, the 8 Ashtakas, it's just depicting the pastime, and within the pastime, there's a lot of meaning. There's the pastime, and then there's the meaning of the pastime. And what we're doing is we're discussing both, of course, but largely the meaning. And the understanding the love of the resident of Vrindavan, specifically understanding the love of Mother Yasoda, because right now the spotlight is on her. The love of Mother Yasoda is superlative. This particular verse, it surpasses that of Brahma, Lord Shiva, Lord Indra, and all the Devas. For example, when Brahma goes to Vrindavan and sees Krishna's opulence, he offers prayers, and one of those prayers is, I, who am at the topmost position in the universe as far as mystic powers and knowledge and glory and everything, if in my next birth I can somehow take birth in Vrindavan so that some of the dust from the feet of the devotees can touch my head, that will be a great attainment. The residents of Vrindavan are above Brahma. What to speak of Mother Yashoda? In the earlier part of this pastime, this chapter, the mothers, the other mothers, her peers, they love Krishna too. They love Krishna. His pure devotees love Krishna also. But Mother Yasoda, her love was so intense. She wouldn't stop. They were encouraging her. Just stop this idea of trying to bind Krishna. But she was determined. Not in a controlling, but in a affectionate, loving way, as mothers know how to be affectionate and loving. She was a superlative mother, and she continued in seeing her parishrama, her endeavor, and the difficulty she was undergoing in that endeavor. Krishna shrugged his shoulders and extended special mercy so she could bind him. So that's the theme that we're hearing. The love of the devotee, the service mood of the devotee is so strong that he who is all-powerful, the supreme, becomes controlled. Now, where is that theology? I ask you, Have you ever heard such a theology anywhere in the world? Of any teaching of God? It's most persons, according to Bhagavad Gita, hardly out of many manushanam sahasreshu kaschit yatati siddhaye, hardly out of all the many millions of persons, hardly one is even thinking about getting spiritual perfection. And of those, yatatamapi siddhanam kaschan vetimam tatvataha, of those who achieve siddhi, perfection, hardly one knows me in truth. So how rare is someone who can know Krishna? How do we know Krishna? He says in Bhagavad Gita, we can know him through devotion and service to him. We can know him. And even those that are in Vrindavan, that spotlight is on Mother Yasoda. The demigods, the goddess of fortune doesn't control Krishna. She doesn't bind Krishna. She doesn't bind Narayan. Forget it. The thought doesn't enter. But Mother Yasoda has that kind of love, and therefore Krishna assumes a childlike form, and he does naughty things, so she'll bind him. He wants, and she does. And there's obstacle. And then he maintains the obstacle, and then he removes the obstacle, and then she binds him. This is the nature of the person that we're devoting ourselves to. A loving, unlimitedly powerful, yet unlimitedly merciful, even more than the powerfulness, the mercifulness. It's very special. So the science, or the teaching, you could say, the scriptural teaching of how the bhakti process works, it comes to life within this Srimad Bhagavatam. I'll say it one more time. There isn't any literature like this anywhere. There's no scriptural teaching that gives this really up-close description of the nature of the Supreme Person, the loving nature of the Supreme Person, and how it unfolds. So fortunate to have this understanding. Now, understanding is one thing, and then living our lives accordingly is another thing. There's a theoretical understanding, and then there's the practical realization of that understanding. And that comes from practice. That's exactly what we heard. Vaidhi bhakti, or practice, can lead one to a spontaneous, eternally existing in a loving mood. The practice is meant to awaken that loving mood. And when the loving mood is awakened, the regulation is, it's like a child learning to ride a bicycle with trainer wheels. Did you learn to ride a bicycle with trainer wheels? You know what trainer wheels are? The two little wheels. Yeah, you. I'm looking at you. Two little wheels in the back along with the two main wheels. Yeah. I never learned with training wheels, but some people do. So Vaidhi Bhakti is like learning to ride a bicycle with training wheels. And then after you learn to ride a bicycle, you don't need the training wheels anymore. You still ride the bicycle upright, but the requirement is not the same. So the requirement is there because we're not so coordinated. You know, that's with motor skill, that's bicycle riding. And with bhakti, it's how we live our life. We're accustomed to some other ways, without detailing the other ways. That the natural for the soul, just like it's natural for Krishna to reciprocate with love, because he's loving. It's fully natural. So it's also natural to be loving towards the Supreme Lord. It's perfectly natural. And in the beginning, it may seem unnatural, but it's perfectly natural. And when purification comes from the practice, then the spontaneous comes. and hearing about the love of those who have achieved that stage, the pure stage, is very inspiring and very, that it's filled with potencies. For the whole month, we're hearing about Damodar. So let's see if there's some discussion. Our experience is that Radha usually likes to have several questions. So there's the microphone over on the couch there. And those of you that are with us, our hosts, we'll invite you to speak something if you like. Go ahead.
I heard that Ambarish had a few seconds before he broke the fast. So how did he console the Brahmins? Did the Brahmins tell him, and so only like few seconds?
Well, I don't know where you heard he had only a few seconds. I've never heard that.
Oh.
Oh.
I heard it in the Bhagavatam.
It's not a few seconds. There's a period of time. Just, I mean, if you can look on a calendar, and the time between this time and that time for breaking Ekadasi on the Dwadasi day, it can be a number of minutes. There's a limit, and it was reaching the limit of what was okay, but it wasn't just a few minutes. It was, is an exaggeration. It's not literal. He had a short time. He had to make a decision what to do. Okay?
Okay.
Next. She usually has several questions. We'll come back to you.
Yeah,
I'm sure
usually
there'll be
after I hear other people's
follow-up
questions.
Okay. Others with questions. We have to bring the microphone this way. Okay.
Maharaj, in the prayers of Queen Kunti, was her conclusion that Mother Yashoda's love is, or the reciprocation of Krishna to her love was the supreme? Like she gave many examples. He was chariot driver of Arjuna, and then other examples that you shared. So is that the highest, and then
is which the highest?
Reciprocation of Krishna with Mother Yashoda by getting bound by her love?
No. For parental affection, yes. There's other rasas.
And would it be wrong to then compare the affection that gopis have and Krishna's reciprocation with them, with Mother Yashoda's?
You better have a lot of credential to do stuff like that. Otherwise, you might make an offense. So better to not go there, because we don't have the credential, that adhikar qualification. Now, Sanatana Goswami does it in a very expert way, because he's expert. He has the persons who are being honored say, no, they're the most, and then most intimately associated. And then finally, Krishna says it himself. He says to the queens, this is why I have such love for the gopis. And it doesn't mean, I don't have love for Mother Yashoda, but he has special love for the gopis because of their special love for him. Our hostess, she has a question.
I don't know. I should say that or not. Why Durvasha Muni is always angry?
Why Durvasa Muni did what?
Always angry.
Well, he's a partial incarnation of Lord Shiva. You know the story, Atri Muni. Okay, so there's the three, Vishnu, Shiva, and Brahma appeared. And Anasuya and Atri wanted sons like them. So he appeared as sons like each one of the three. And Dattatreya was the partial incarnation of Lord Vishnu. And Durvasa Muni was the partial incarnation of Lord Shiva. So one of the names of Lord Shiva is Ashutosh. Right? Easily pleased, easily angered. So he's easily pleased, and he's easily angered. He's not always angry. He's easily pleased, and he's easily angered. And very powerful. So when he's pleased, he can do amazing things. And when he's angered, he can do amazing things. That's why. Something else? Up front? Anything online?
Nothing online.
Anything in the room? Do you have something or you have something online? Quick question.
This is something which I was not aware about the Dattatreya and Durvasa, and who's the third one, Maharaj?
Lord Brahma, and I can't remember at the moment. Does anyone in the room remember? If not, I'll look it up and we'll discuss it later. I don't remember.
Sure, thank you.
Behind you.
I mean, I definitely like the way actually you explained bhakti with unconditional love. Sorry. Yeah, sure.
Because there's people online.
I definitely like the way actually we explain bhakti with love and unconditional love and the way it comes. But if you really look at in normal life, in our practice,
It's out of sight.
yeah, I'm just thinking, you also talked about actually you had to put that one in practice, correct? So how do you really influence in your normal life when you are generally talking with a lot of people? They tend to actually think this one not as your strength. I mean, they tend to actually think this one more as your weakness.
Yes.
So could you please?
Well, there's two things. Why is it and what to do? Why and what to do? The two questions, right? The why is, as Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita, happiness or knowledge or anything is influenced by the modes of nature. Food's in the mode of nature. Everything, everything is influenced by the modes of nature. So those who have knowledge in the mode of goodness, they know what is to be done, what is not to be done. And those that are in the mode of ignorance, they accept what is not to be done as what is to be done. And what is to be done is not to be done. So it's just the modes of nature at work. And passion is being confused. So the reason why is the influence of the modes of nature. And what to do. We live we don't try, three things. We don't impose reality on people that can't accept reality. They see the opposite of reality. What's not to be done is what's to be done. So we don't impose anything on such people. We just honor that they have a certain nature influenced by the modes, and that's just the way they are. Like in the workplace, some people are pushy, some people are angry, some people are unproductive, some people are, it's just the modes of nature at work. So we acknowledge the modes of nature are at work, and we try our level best with shelter in character and good quality to be of character and good quality, even when other people aren't like that. Not for the purpose of showing off, just for the purpose of living our life in a virtuous, proper way. It's not easy. Not easy to be virtuous, but to speak of being virtuous in a non-virtuous atmosphere, or an atmosphere surcharged with opposition, using Prabhupada's language. It's not easy. This is the what to do part. But you live by principles that you believe in, and you support those principles that you believe in by scripture, by a scriptural understanding of this is how to act. Because tomorrow is Diwali. Happy tomorrow, one day before Diwali. So, in the final section, after the war is over, there are several things that Ram does that are exemplary of character. Without listing them, we'll be discussing them tomorrow. But he's teaching in an atmosphere that's not conducive to be theistic, to be a man of virtue. I mean, here's one. Even after Vibhishan is installed on the throne, he says, you should reward all those who helped you. A king that takes service from the soldiers for the purpose of being victorious in battle and doesn't reciprocate with them, he'll lose the loyalty of those soldiers. And it's practical, but it's, so reward them. Then it's interesting. While still in Lanka, before they start their journey back to Ayodhya, Lord Shiva comes and he introduces, here's your father. He came to see you because he went to heaven. So he's in his heaven. So there's this exchange, his father to the son, and Ram asks his father, please withdraw that terrible curse that you made to Kaikeyi and to Bharat. I disown you and your son. Please take it back, because that shouldn't be impediments for them. He said, so be it. Indra asked for something. The demigods, we've come to honor you. Can you, all these runners that gave up their life, can you bring them back to life? Now, he's the personality of Godhead. He can do anything. He said it's very difficult, but because you've asked, they will regain their life. And one thing after the next thing. He's the personality of Godhead, and this is, he has the power to do all these things. So we don't have that power of little people, tiny little people. But we can live by principle, and principle rooted in the message is rooted in Scripture. The glorious thing is not just all the lamps that they offered when he returned to Ayodhya at night. That's Diwali. But it's all those things that lead up to that. It's, the emblem of virtue. So by reading Scripture, we can become inspired more than we are today to be, abide by that life standard as much as we can. We're little people. We're not Ram. But we can value and treasure and honor and cherish those virtues that he taught. And read it again, and it becomes part of your virtue in your life. That's how Scripture works. It becomes the quality that you carry in your heart, in the deepest level, the bhakti level. And a third, what to do is tolerate. Exactly what Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita, tangs tatiksha swabharata. Tatiksha. You tolerate this place, the place of duality, and instead invest your attention in what to do about the people outside, what to do about the enemies inside. The stuff inside that I'm carrying around, that I sometimes say things or do things that I wonder, I'm not so happy with that. Why did I speak that way? Why did I neglect, showing kindness to someone when I could have and should have, all those little, turn attention inward and make that place clean. And as that place becomes clean, there's a power that carries with such a person whose heart is clean. And then you can influence things outside you more if the inside is clean. Those are 3 what to do principles. Not easy, but it takes cultivation, and it takes good association, and some willpower, some determination. Let me move in this direction in my life, because there's always forces pushing us the other ways, the passion ways and the ignorance ways. You get revenge and get back and all those things. They did this, they said that, I'll show them, and all of that goes on. But we read in Scripture how to not do like that. And what if you don't do that? What do? Where is your shelter? Where's the inner strength? Because your point was people look at you as weak, but if you stay the course, then wow, you're a genuine guy, and that's rare. Vicious people may inspire them to take advantage because they think you're weak, and persons that want a hero, they'll take strength. So the vicious people will be vicious people anyways. And you can just roar back and show your teeth and claws, and you can do that program. Or you can just be a person that's of character and not be moved. But that's another option. Either way, it's not easy. But for a gentleman, becoming an animal when somebody becomes an animal towards you, very unpleasant. One who lives by the sword dies by the sword, they say. And you live that way, you become an animal because the people around you are animals. And I don't want to be an animal. I want to be a human with some character, and that's what I want to do. I want to live that kind of a life and teach that kind of a life and influence those that, and if people want to think, oh, here's a weak person, I'm going to take advantage of him, they're going to take advantage anyways. Be strong. That's preferred. Okay, we have something more from Radha yet? No, okay. No, she's still percolating out there. Anything over here? Online?
I just wanted to say answer to the question here.
Okay.
Soma. I think
You want to say something?
The third Brahman, that name.
Oh, you looked it up.
yeah.
Oh, okay, fine.
Soma.
Moon. Okay. Anything else in the room? Okay, well, it looks like we're finished. Yes? Srila Prabhupada ki jai.